Hi everyone, thanks for joining in. I'm excited to have Nikki Smith joining me. Hi Nikki.
Hi, Jackie. How are you?
Good, thanks. For those who don't know, Nikki is one of Global Girls Associated Authors, and she pops in a lot of times to tell us what she's reading and about her books and does videos and that. So greatly appreciate the involvement you have in the group.
No problem at all. My pleasure.
So, for those who don't know Nikki, I've got a little bit to tell you about Nikki. So, Nikki studied English literature at Birmingham University before pursuing a career in finance, where she worked for various companies, including BDO and Morgan Stanley. And her latest novel is The Beach Party, which we can see in the back there. And looking forward to talking a little bit more about that. So, that only just came out this month, is that right?
Yeah, it's out this month in the UK, and I think it comes out in Australia in October, 20th of
Okay.
October, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Nikki lives in Guildford with her husband, two teenage daughters, and a cat who thinks she's a dog.
Yes.
What's your cat's name?
She's called Safi.
Oh,
So
nice. Cute.
yes, she's a chocolate Burmese, and yeah, we adore her. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. So, as I said, thanks for joining us and talking to me again. Do you want to start off by telling us a bit about the beach party?
Yes, I can indeed. It's a destination thriller about a group of six friends. There's Will, Zoe, Nina, Seb, Aidan, and Claire, and they all go on holiday together. In 1989 is where most of the book's set. Well, kind of. It's a dual timeline. After they graduate from Birmingham University, and they go and stay in Nina's parents' luxury villa in a place called Dea in Mallorca, which is a very beautiful place. I've actually been there, lucky enough to been there and
Mm,
visited it. It was the last place I visited before lockdown hit.
mm,
And the villa's set on a cliff top. It's overlooking the ocean. It's got its own boat and a jetty. And the group of friends are basically there to have a good time and party. But in the midst of their decadent partying, there is a terrible accident and somebody dies. And in an effort to kind of cover up what's happened, the group begin to turn on one another until their actions lead to a rather horrifying climax. And then we jump forward 30 years to the present day, and the secret that they buried resurfaces. Somebody knows what they did and is going to make them pay for it.
And I have to say, I've been reading your new book. I've loved your books in the past, and I haven't quite finished it, but I'm nearly at the end when I think everything's going to be um, unraveled, and so I'm not
Yeah.
quite at that part yet. But really enjoyed it and liked
Oh,
the
good.
dual timeline and loved the year that it was set in. 1989. I was just finishing high school, so
Yeah.
yeah, I could
Yeah.
relate to
Exactly.
to the year it was set in.
Yeah, I've had a lot of messages actually from people who I think it's that era kind of thing, late 80s, early 90s
Mm,
is yeah, still it's yeah, great for a lot of people to reminisce about, and the clothes and what was
mm,
there then. Everyone's like, "Oh, I remember that and I
mm,
remember that."
yeah.
So, yeah, it's
And
good.
I forgot to mention at the start that you're joining us on your wedding anniversary.
Yes, I am. It's 20 years today. So yes, very nice.
I
Yes,
hope we're
sometimes I
not
wonder how we
uh,
managed it, but yeah.
I hope we're not interrupting your romantic celebrations too much.
No, not at all. I was actually up very early this morning, trying to write a synopsis for my next book to give to my agent before we go to the Harrogate Crime Festival this week. So yeah, I think we're going to manage a lunch out
Oh,
a little bit
nice.
later on. So that will be
Yeah,
nice. Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
So, can you tell us the beach party? What was the first idea you had for that novel?
Well, I think it was kind of a combination of ideas actually. The idea originally came to me, I think, in lockdown, when we were all basically stuck in the house and couldn't go anywhere. And I think a lot of authors actually got very fed up, as along with everybody else, of looking at the same kind of four walls. And in the UK, you know, how we could go out was incredibly restricted. So I think your brain just naturally goes to that, you know, oh, I just want to be somewhere else. I want to see somewhere different. I want to be somewhere different. So I think that was the idea, to kind of set it somewhere other than, you know, the UK. And Dea was the last place that I'd visited before we went into lockdown. I'd gone away with a group of girls, ladies who I was at university with, just after university we shared a house, and so I think that was kind of what sparked the idea, was just that you start thinking about the past, and then obviously this luxury destination. And I just really liked the idea that you could have somewhere that was beautiful on the surface and it all looks stunning, and you know, it's set in an incredibly luxurious place, but there's all this kind of darkness that you know, is bubbling away under the surface. So yeah,
and
that's what I did.
We've got a few people watching, so just wanted to remind people watching, if you've got a question for Nikki, please type it in comments and I can read it out. Sharon's got a question for you. She wonders how much research you did for the beach party.
Quite a lot, actually, in the end, because you can, I mean, I obviously think, oh, I can remember 1989, and I certainly can remember some things about it. And I think particularly the music and certain, you know, things like perfume as well, as a real kind of association with smell, things like that. But I think a lot of the things about kind of Section 28, without wanting to kind of give any spoilers in the book, there was kind of the political side of that side of the 80s, which I probably wasn't as aware of. I think, having lived through that era, and I think kind of going back, and I had to do quite a bit of research on that, and also the kind of the boating side of things, without again wanting to give away anything. I spoke to a naval architect who kind of gave me some information about boats generally, and also about kind of coastlines and what was kind of feasible and not feasible. So yeah, there was quite a bit of technical research as well.
And what sort of feedback have you been having from readers?
It's been really good, actually. Yeah, really, really good. I mean, as you know, both my first two books, so my debut and my second book, both launched in lockdown. I think the first one about 6 days after the UK kind of went into full lockdown. So it was probably one of the worst times, I think, to try and launch your career as an author. So this time it's been wonderful, because the book's been in lots of shops. It's been kind of all over WH Smith Travel in the UK already, which has been really, really lovely to see. So it's been on kind of countertops, and it's had its own little kind of, you know, baskets and tables and things. So yeah, and the feedback from readers has been really, really good. I think that they love the era. I think there's definitely something about this era which has kind of come round again, if you like, and I think that they like the characters. One in particular they love to hate. So yeah.
And what have you been able to do to get out and promote your book? Because I'm sure it must be different than your other books.
It is. Yeah, it's really different this time. So I had a launch last week in Waterstones in Covent Garden with another author. Actually, we shared a launch called Karen Hamilton, which some of your listeners and watchers might have heard of her. She published a book called The Perfect Girlfriend, I think was her debut, and she's got a new book out called The Contest, which is very good. Again, it's another destination thriller, but hers is set on Mount Kilimanjaro. So that was really nice. We got to have, you know, our agents and our editors were there, and you know, we got to have a lot of friends and family and things come to that. So yeah, so hopefully there'll be more opportunities to do things kind of in person. I'm going to the Harrogate Book Festival this week. That starts tomorrow. So yeah, travelling up to that. It's kind of a big crime thriller festival in the UK, probably one of the biggest actually. Okay. So that's a really nice chance to kind of meet other authors, but also lots of kind of readers and things, and talk about it. Yeah, a couple of people have said, "Where will you be? Can I come and find you in the tent? I want you to sign your book." So
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
really nice.
And what are you working on at the moment?
Well, I've just finished the kind of a round of edits for the next book, which is called The Guests, and that's out in 2024, so
Mm.
similar time next year. And so yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's up on Amazon already, but without a cover, so it always looks a bit
Oh.
weird. It's just the kind of holding kind of page. But it's set in the Maldives, and
Oh,
it's
nice.
yes, very
Mm.
nice.
Did
Yes,
you visit
I
there
keep
for
telling my
research?
editor. Yes, I need a research trip, Jackie. That's what I keep saying, rather than just googling.
Mm.
And yeah, so yeah, that comes out next year. It's about a family who go there on holiday to celebrate the kind of dad's 50th birthday, and they go along to one of those deserted picnic islands to have lunch and
Mm.
get dropped off. And then when the boat comes to pick them up 4 hours later, there's the champagne still floating in the ice bucket, but the
But
family have
they've gone.
disappeared.
Mm.
So
Sounds like
maybe you
another
could
great
find out
one.
what's happened.
Yeah. And was the
Hopefully,
beach
yes.
party, is that your first Joel timeline?
Um, I'm just trying to think. Yes, in that way,
Mm.
yes. I mean, I often tend to have kind of, I guess, two things going on in a book,
Mm.
whether you're following different character timelines and things, but that kind of space with that many years apart, yes.
Mm.
Which was lovely to do. I really enjoyed writing it, but often when you come to the edits, it can be difficult because you pull out one thing if your editor wants something changed or altered, and then obviously the whole thing kind of can collapse slightly. So
Mm.
yeah, it can be tricky, but no, I did really enjoy it.
So how do you go about writing that? Do you write one separate to the other, or?
I yes, I think well, it's kind of a mix actually.
Mm.
I wrote a lot of the 1989 stuff first, and then I kind of went back and then kind of looked at it again and worked out where I could put chapters in the present day. I always knew that there was going to be a present day kind of
Mm.
strand, but I
Mm.
think the first drafts when I had it, it was split kind of more fifth, like I don't know, say 70-30, and written in just big chunks, which is fine, but it doesn't kind of tie in
Mm.
properly. You need to
Mm.
kind of mix the two together. So there is an element of editing to kind of go back and work out how it's going to work. I think it's more interesting for the reader as well if they can see stuff now and then
Mm.
kind of look back, but keep coming back so they don't lose the thread too much.
Mm. Mm. And there's quite a few characters in the beach party, friends, and do you have a favourite character?
Um, I think I probably do. I think Nina is probably
Yeah.
my favourite character. She was great fun to write,
Mm.
and I've had a lot of comments that people hope that I haven't based her on anyone that I know, and which I didn't. I haven't, but I think that
Mm.
there's elements of different people that you encounter in your life that you can
Mm.
kind of bring into characters like that,
Mm.
and yeah, I really enjoyed writing her. Yes.
Mm. Mm. And the cover, I can see the cover in the background there. It's quite a striking cover, isn't it? That on the shelves will really stand out. What did you think when you
Yes.
first saw the cover?
I absolutely loved it.
Mm.
I felt authors don't normally get a lot of say over their covers.
Mm.
I think, which is difficult, because sometimes we love them and sometimes we maybe love them a bit less.
Mm.
But that's a kind of publisher decision, and I wasn't sure what. I mean, obviously, when they brief for the cover, they kind of tell you the kind of ideas that they're thinking about, and I've seen a lot of obviously other kind of destination thriller type books where I was expecting, you know, a kind of swimming pool scene or something like that. You
Yeah,
know,
it's a bit different. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And I think it's a lady called Charlotte who has designed this cover, and I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. It captures the mood of the book perfectly. And as you said, I mean, the colours are beautiful. It is very distinctive. I think it stands out. And I think more and more now, you know, authors are having to kind of compete against other forms of media in terms of like Netflix and you know everything else. You know, it's to stand out basically. And so if you can have a cover that is instantly appealing for a particularly kind of, I guess, commercial thriller, which is what this is, then that just helps people pick it up and then hopefully kind of want to read it. So yes, she did a great job, and I'm hoping that she's going to do the cover for the next one. Yes. Yes. See what she comes up with for that. But no, this has been really brilliant.
It's great when that all works out like that. Yeah.
I mean, my first two books were published by Orion actually, and this one's different. It's published by Viking, which is part of Penguin.
Okay.
And my editor, who I worked with at Orion, moved to Viking, and I moved with her. They've just done a really, really good job, I think, on the book. Very good job.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about what you like reading yourself, and if there's something you might have read lately that you want to recommend to us?
Yes, well, I tend to read crime and thrillers actually. That's the genre that I write in, and I'm very fortunate now in that publishers send me kind of quite a few proofs to read, so they tend to send me kind of that genre as well. But I think that's what I naturally gravitate towards. I always have. I do read other stuff as well, but that's most of my reading. And I would say there's a book coming out this month in the UK. I'm not sure when it's out in Australia, by an author called Fiona Cummings. And she's written a book called All of Us Are Broken, which is actually the second in a series, but you don't have to have read the first one, which is called Into the Dark, which is also brilliant. You could read them as standalones. It's about a detective called Saul Anguish, which is, I think, such a fantastic name, and a woman that he works with, Clover Blue, who's a forensic linguist. And it's definitely one of my top 3 of the year. It's absolutely brilliant. It's very, very dark if you like dark books, but it makes you kind of cry, and it's just brilliant, really good. So yes, that would be highly recommended. Yes.
Well, thanks for that recommendation. We love getting recommendations. So we can just add more to our pile of books to read.
That's the problem though, isn't it? The to be read list gets ever higher. I know.
Yeah.
I know, yes. Well, yeah.
And what about where you like to read? Where's your favourite spot for reading?
I think I probably do most of my reading in bed actually at night.
I'm a bit like that as well. Yeah.
I think it's either that or maybe curled up on the sofa under a blanket. In the UK, we're supposed to have summer at the moment, but it doesn't feel like that.
Oh, really?
It's a bit grey. I mean, we had a lovely 3 weeks in June, and it was gorgeous, and it just seems to have disappeared now. So yes, my wardrobe for Harrogate started off with, you know, the odd floaty dress and things, and now I'm like, no, jeans, jumper, umbrella. So I think sitting on the sofa, I'll read there, but it tends to be last thing at night, and I must learn to put my phone down more and pick up a bit more, because I think once you start on social media, there's a tendency to kind of keep scrolling. But no, I mean, I mean, obviously I love reading. I'm an author, so it's my favorite activity, but yes.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for chatting with me. I always love chatting to you.
Me too. It's been lovely. Thank you, Jackie.
And look forward to hearing more about what you've been reading and what you're up to, and reading more of your books. So thank you, and thanks for those who joined in.
Indeed, yes. Thanks ever so much for watching. And yes, if anyone wants to pick up a copy, then yeah, I think it'll be out in Australia in October.
And hope you enjoy the rest of your day and have a good wedding anniversary.
Thanks ever so much, Jackie. I will.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.